Welcome to the Starting Over podcast. I am your host, Edward Shelton, aka Dark Logos, and this is a show in which we look at the strategies, tactics, and mechanics behind the game of HeroClix. I got something really awesome to let you all know about today. We're going to have a special episode, and you're going to be like, Dark Logos, every episode is a special episode. And I know that's what you're thinking because you care oh so much. But on the show today, we are going to be talking about the Realms Open Championship. And I've been promoting it on the show here and there pretty frequently. And guess who I got on the show? Mr. Howard Brock. So say hello to everybody, Mr. Howard Brock.
Hello, everyone.
All right. So Mr. Howard Brock is on here to give us some special details and a little bit of a spoiler and some insight into the Realms Open Championship Series and letting us know what's up and what's all going down with it. Okay. So I'm going to open up the floor to you, sir, to start wherever you want to start.
Okay. I think probably the most interesting part about we're going to call it Rock because it's easier to say than Rams Open Championship, and it sounds cool. So I'll refer to it as Rock. And I guess I would rather go back to the history versus how it all began. It's an idea that was formulated, I guess, about 2 years ago. Tony, who is AKA Typhoon on Realms, he owns Realms, and he's been sponsoring the last couple of years. He's been sponsoring Dragon Con, the HeroClix there, and it's something that I go to. It's in my own neighborhood. I'm not very far away from it, and I've always provided a little bit of Dragon Con myself. And anyway, we all ended up together. It was an idea that, I don't know if it started with the Dragon Con guys there that run Dragon Con, the judges, or if it started with Tony himself. But somehow the conversation came up that we wanted to go to another level and have something that Realms supported, running more of a pro-style event across the country. And that's where it all started. It started about 2 years ago with just us talking. And we took some of our ideas. There were several of us that met there. And that's where we went. We just threw stuff together, and we've had some other people come on board since. And when we started this, it almost didn't get off the ground. Everything kind of got thrown together at the last second. I think some people have questioned some of the things we've done, but they need to understand also that this is just the first year. What we mainly wanted to do was get it out there. We wanted to get the tournament started. We wanted to get everything going, and kind of we took the approach that, hey, we're going to make mistakes, but we're going to fix them on the way. And when we get into the next year, we'll have a lot of these things solved. And if you read any on Realms, if you read about the tournaments, I guess the biggest complaints that we've had have been location. And then there's been some the way that some tournament rules that have been kind of become kind of an issue, or the way that the tournament played out and the rules were enacted. And we understand that. So what we're trying to do this next coming year, actually, we're hoping to have it all in place. Matter of fact, I know it's all going to be in place by Dragon Con because I've already looked at them. But we're enacting rules to cover those things, and we're going to have a whole bunch more locations for next year.
All right. All right. So pretty much, sort of summing everything up, it was just, hey, we want to have more interactivity on the HeroClix scene, and you all wanted to present something that's a little bit more challenging and almost, it sounds like almost competitive to other competitive games, it seems like. Because most other competitive games have a circuit, it seems.
Well, that's exactly right. And, long-term wise, we've talked about international. Right now, we're not thinking international. It's too soon. But it would be nice if we could go international in a few years. But what we're looking at for next year is we have what we call a regional. Regionals is kind of like an area tournament. And then we got something else that we're turning. It's called special events. Now, Clixathon this year was a regional.
Okay.
And there's a difference between what a regional and a special event is. A regional, our goal is, like I said, maybe have a dozen regionals across country, and then 2 or 3 special events. And then we also have something else that we call the elite event. And the elite event is not really our event, but it's something that say whiz kids run, like World or Nationals. We don't run them, but we're gonna try to take the people and we're letting people get points, which is another thing that we're gonna get into next year. Is we're gonna have rankings, but you can earn points at those events also, and the people that win the Nationals or the World will get invites. They don't necessarily, they're not going to win anything from us, but they're going to get an invite to come play in our championship. Now a regional, a little bit different. A regional, you actually get all the prizes, which anybody that's looked over the tournaments has seen that we've given out a whole lot of good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to stay the same. That will stay the same. But they also win a travel package and a bunch of other things to go on to the championship. But that separates itself from what separates itself from a special event is that the regionals can also have what we call regional feeders. Or let's use an example. Let's say that we were going to have we'll use Kansas City for a reference.
There we
go. We're going to have a region. Say again?
Yeah, so there we go. Regional of Kansas City.
Yeah. So let's just say we use Kansas City as a regional. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to put a program into place to where whoever's hosting that regional, they can have feeder events come into the regional. Now, the way that works is if somebody wins a feeder, it doesn't get them to the final table, but it gives them a bye on the qualifying event. So they get to, it's one less step they have to take. And let's say that, you know that area probably better than I do, but let's say you've got this venue that's hosting the regional, and he's got another venue that's maybe 50 miles away, okay?
Okay.
What he would do is he would set up a plan for that venue to hold a qualifying tournament on sometime before the regional started. And he would offer some prize support, and not nothing major, but some prize support. And then there would be an entry fee that they would charge to them for them to be able to get all this stuff. So it kind of goes backwards. And then you also get points again from the regional feeders, other regionals, the special events, and the elite events. That's what we're trying to get to.
Okay. So it's going to eventually lead up to events where it's like, hey, before regionals, come play at so-and-so venue so that, you know, you have a chance of avoiding the first round of grinders, pretty much, right?
Exactly. What we're hoping to see is that you're going to have, you know, we're going in reverse order. You're going to have the championship at Dragon Con, and then you can qualify on site at Dragon Con, but if you get to the final table at Dragon Con, you can skip the qualifications there, and you can either win an elite event, a regional, or a special event. And that gets you to the final seat. Now, to get to those seats, to get to a regional, and to get a bye, then you're going to have. I'm going to just use a number because we haven't really decided this yet. But let's say if you're a regional host and you're working maybe out of a 200-mile radius, so any venue that's in a 200-mile radius, and that may not be enough. I'm just using it for an example.
Okay.
Any venue in a 200-mile radius can then host their feeder to feed into the region. So we're wanting to get everybody involved at some point. or anybody that wants to be involved.
Okay. Cool. And I mean, so just sort of playing in with I know you all are in like the first iteration of the point system, which you brought up. So what's your idea behind the point system of saying like, hey, I've got 100 points this season, and this is where I'm at right now. And I know we personally talked before, so could you give some people some insight on what's your thoughts on the point system that you guys are trying to roll out?
Well, the point system on our end, again, we have this little group behind the scenes that we talk amongst ourselves, and we're going to have a powwow at Gen Con, and we'll have that nailed down then. So what I'm about to say is my opinion. It's not necessarily the group's opinion.
Okay.
I can only tell you what I would like to see, and then when we get there, it's all up for debate, and it may be something a little different. But what I want to see is that you get points at the senior level, you get points at the regional level, the special event level, and then also at the championship. Mm-hmm. But as you go through the tournament, you should gain more points for the bigger events. In other words, if you win a regional, that should be more points awarded to you for participating or for placing, at that event than it would be at a feeder event. And vice versa, it should also be less points than the DragonCon Championship.
Okay.
And the other thing this is my thoughts on that again, but I would like to see the points only be a year old. What I mean by that is the 12-month cycle. Not that you wipe out a whole year every year, but that the points are constantly changing so that you people, we want to determine who number one is, who number two is, so on and so forth down the line. And there's a lot of, I'm familiar with a lot of gaming. I've done a lot of gaming online also, with other kinds of games.
Mm-hmm.
And those games, they're pretty much, they're cumulative over time. In other words, if I have a rating of, say, 1,700, and I step out of the game for 2 years, and then I come back into the game, and I start playing again, my rating is still 1,700. Well, the way I'm looking at it is that I want the current people that are active, and the people that are currently playing, I want those rated. So we're going to go back 12 months. The 13th month would always be kicked out. So if I'm playing today and I'm rated 1,700, and my points were based on 13 months ago, the first of the month here, that part of that 1 month is going to be wiped out. So it's going to, the good thing about that is it gives new players, a chance and opportunity to move up the ladder pretty quick and be higher rated.
Yeah. So there's really there's no incentive for the top people to be like, well, I'm just going to lax on my laurels and look here, I'm still ranked so and so, and then it also allows the bottom people to come in and say, hey man, I'm gunning for 15th place because I think I can do that this year, stuff like that.
Exactly, and I'm sure that we haven't discussed it, but I'm pretty darn sure that somewhere down the road that will be number one, be ranked number one, or be in the top 10 or the top 5 or whatever it is that we come up with. There'll be something that those players get. I don't know if it'll be a prize, but it could be just something on real themselves where they get a free year of membership or something. I don't know. I mean, choose that for example. Dated the T-shirt. I'm number one. I was number one in Europe, number one ranked player in the world, 2013. Something, I'm sure we'll come up with something for that.
Cool. Hey, you can even throw in, hey, get interviewed by Starting Over podcast.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. So
but that's the kind of thing that we want to go towards. And on an international level, it'd be the same thing, the same type of program. I was online. I still play HeroClix online, and I was online a couple days ago, and I was asking the Australian national champion, how many players did they have over in Australia. He said that he knows of about 100 or so. It's probably more than that. That's just what he personally knew. And so the reason I was asking is I was just wondering if they held a qualifier over there sometime, would they have enough of a turnout? It sounds like they would, and I do know that Canada is prime, and I know that there's a lot of European players. I know a few players from Mexico, but I don't know how big it is down there. But I mean, there are players on the international level also.
Yeah, I saw the on Glass Cabinet Films had Argentina Championship or something on there. There was a lot of people for that, and I think the winner got a brick of Web of Spider-Man. So, yeah, I mean it's a global game, you know.
It is. Well, I mean, I don't know what this kid does now. I don't know how they get involved. That's actually an interesting question. But I know that there's national champions in other countries, and I know that some of those national champions got invite. I'm pretty sure to last year's World, they just didn't show up. The difference is maybe it was the European champion that got an invite. But years ago at World, what they did there is national champions. They put his kids, but it's the film. I don't think they do that anymore. Matter of fact, I don't know. But if you want to, they had about 8 that showed up in the world. They were from Germany and Spain and Italy, and I can't even think of all of them. They were from all over Europe, and we got to play and talk to them. And this kid actually flew them over. I mean, they paid the plane bill and the whole 9 yards. They made a big thing out of it.
Yeah, I mean that would be really nice to see something like that happen here again within HeroClix. Just definitely, I would like to see a tournament, even if I can't show up to it. I would like to see a tournament with a lot of international representative, like you see in esports. Like in esports, you'll see tournaments that it's like, the South Koreans are there, the Americans are there, the Canadians are there, the South Americans, from Brazil to Argentina to, I mean, like all these different teams show up on esports, and HeroClix, I know most of our exposure is mainly stateside, and that. I even think with some of the tech, like when I saw the Argentina Clicks final round, I was like, I know that tech. I've seen, some basics of that tech, but I haven't seen people run stuff like that or talk like, about using certain things. So just to get some more diversity into the metasphere would be great of like what's actually popular in other areas.
Well, that's exactly right. And I'll even go back and use an example for that. When I got into HeroClix years ago, my first experience of players outside my area, I'm in Huntsville, Alabama. Nobody knows that, but I live in Huntsville, Alabama, and we played at a local venue, and we just started running. We started running those pre-releases. The pre-releases were really big. It's back when they give out the purple base figures. And those things, the ones that we went to were in Douglasville, in Georgia, which was about a 3-hour drive for us. And it was the first time that I ever got to see anybody outside of our area. And there was 100 plus players there. Now, here's what we saw when we went there was diversity of teams and styles that we had not seen before. We were in our own little world there, playing our own little meta, so to speak. And that's what we did. And we never, a lot of the things a lot of things we saw we had never thought of. So that's the same thing on the international level, is that you're going to see people doing things possibly that you never thought of.
Yeah.
Um, and that actually makes me think of something that I want to discuss with you too, or actually tell you about something that I learned in the last several months. If now I sent you one of the reasons that we're having this is that there's about to be an announcement on Realm. It is it specifies the qualifications to be a regional host, how it works, what it costs, what your all the little things that you got to do to be a regional host. And there's a little verbiage in there. And I don't know if you noticed it or not, but it states that if you're a regional host, you can run side tournaments, and you can run, you pretty much can run things the way you want, but that if you run a field event, that you can't use any biscuits products that's been released within 4 weeks. Did you notice that?
I looked over it, but I haven't looked at like I was like, oh, that's cool, and I made some mental notes in my head, but I didn't try to look at the verbiage directly, but sort of elaborate on that. So why can't they use WizKids product that's just been released?
Yeah, that's what I was getting to. Is that there's a big reason behind that. Did you like the big pre-release that we used to have?
I did. Uh, it was nice to have a pre-release, to have something in your hand maybe a week or 2 weeks before everybody else, and to talk about it. I enjoyed doing that, but at the same time, I think it got watered down when it became like every venue has a pre-release,
Well,
and yeah.
that's exactly what I'm leading into. Okay, the pre-releases that I enjoyed was the big ones, where like we discussed, there was 100 plus players there. We met people, we saw different things, and it was just a huge tournament with good prizes, and everybody got participation prizes, and then you also got you won a lot of good stuff. Now that's the pre-release that I enjoyed and that I remember. And then what happened is they went to the smaller ones that you went to. They got watered down, and you didn't enjoy those so much. Well, there's a reason why that happened. I didn't know what that reason why was until in the last few months. And it's also why we have that statement in there. Venues, stores were complaining that these big pre-releases were taking away their business. And they were complaining that this store got awarded a big pre-release event, and that they're just down the street from them. And because of that pre-release event, everybody's going over there, and they're losing sales, and how come they didn't get a pre-release event, so on and so forth. Obviously, there had to be some qualifications to be able to handle that many people and probably didn't sell so much product, but there was a lot of complaints. Therefore, WizKids stopped it.
Oh wow. So
That's
if there's
why
like three venues in that town, that one venue gets that super huge pre-release, those other two venues are sort of on the outs then. Yeah, they
right, they were putting the WizKids and it was affecting their sales. So that's why they changed it. So what we've done, the reason that statement is in there, what that means is you can hold a field event, but it can't be with new product. We don't want to step on the door's toes where we have complaints for the WizKids about how this is affecting their sales.
yeah. Yeah.
That's why it's that way.
Okay. And see that to me, it makes sense from that business perspective. I mean, before I was just like, man, why, pretty much, why didn't things go down a little bit better? Why weren't these big events still going on? And so I guess they're, in those tough areas where there's a bunch of competitors going on, I can see, store A has a lot of space and store B doesn't. So store A gets picked. and it almost crushes Store B's business for, at that time with WizKids, you're talking about a quarter to almost 5 months before another, WizKids product came out. So, I mean, it really hurt them bad, for those sales. And definitely like during the, I think I wouldn't say Avengers era, because like the Fantastic Forces is the first time I really paid attention to the pre-releases. And I knew like I got 2 boosters of product. And I mean, if I had pulled some of the really good uniques, I know that I could have like hawked those and gotten a whole lot of cheap product. But I really got a whole lot of good figs too. But I mean, I understand a little bit more now.
Yeah, I think the first one that I went to, and I think it was the first big pre-release period, was
Yeah.
I'm sure about it. I'm positive. It's been a while. Well, back on Raw, that kind of gives you a little insight into why a lot of people don't understand why we do things the way we do them sometimes, and that's, when they see that's right. And then, of course, we've heard, the biggest complaint we probably heard is about location, and I kind of explained that we put things together rather quickly, and we had to take people that can run with it right then, and people that have said yes, and we did ask other places, and we didn't get a response from them. We went with what we had, and we got it off the ground, and next year we got the application that's about to come out on Real. If they want to host one, all they got to do is fill out the application and meet the requirements. It's not that difficult to do. We've already got a lot of interest. I've got more names, places that are probably going to be regionals for next year, somewhere in Texas, for sure. We've got a lot of interest there. Chicago, the South, the Northwest, somewhere around the Seattle area. Florida is inquired. Those are places that I know just right off the top of my head. Places that would be good if they will look at somebody who does an application. I would say probably somewhere around St. Louis would be a good spot. Maybe in Phoenix. I think that would be a good spot.
I will drive to St. Louis to play some HeroClix.
I bet you would. I mean, I think it's a good center right there. I mean, it's a good. We look at population areas, and that's a good population area right there. But the requirement, really, the regional host, whoever the venue is, they run a big event, and they should make money from the event. They shouldn't lose anything, even though they pay us up front. With the return that we give back to them, and then them being able to charge a fee, all their money and then some should come back. So it's not like it's going to cost anybody a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
So it's basically just being able to follow the requirements. And our requirements we're using, our plans are to follow WizKids rules with addendum. An addendum is going to address specific things that maybe WizKids doesn't address quite as well, or that we maybe disagree slightly with, or that needs to be addressed because it's more of a professional level.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only thing our addendum is going to do. We'll have a little bit. I mean, for example, maps. Maps. WizKids, you go to World, they give you a map list. Okay, and I think they changed it this year to where all the maps are legal that are in the modern age for modern age tournaments. I think that's right.
No, they still have a map list for modern age. They have a map list for modern age. What they did do is they said they were going to retire maps. They were going to announce retirement. So when sets retire, maps retire. Because
ours is going to be different than that. Again, what I'm about to say is not concrete yet. It's still up for debate. But one of the things on the addendum is going to be that we've written so far, but there's still some other people are legal for that are with tips maps and that are grid reality maps, both of them, be legal for our tournament. Howsoever, no special rules on the maps.
Yeah. Yeah, special rules is what really gets a lot of people, and I hate it. Like there are tournaments that people win just because of the rules on the map, not because of
I know.
of anything else. So it becomes a bit frustrating. The one thing that I do find interesting is that a lot of the Realms Open Championships they have games in which is presented with no tactics. So what's the mindset behind that?
I think people enjoy playing with those tactics. I think the game. Sometimes I think the game becomes so complicated that I think people just enjoy going back to a little bit more simplicity. And I think that what I want, and again, this is what I want, not necessarily what's going to happen, but our rules need to be the same for all of our rocket men. In other words, we're calling Biscuit tournament rules with independence. Now, there's two different things. You got rules, you got format. Format is something that I would like to see the regionals themselves decide. In other words, that we don't control. I kind of like the idea that all the regions are not the same, all the tournaments are not the same, and that you give it the tournament director, so to speak, some latitude to use his imagination and be creative and do different things. Maybe Norm wants to run, what do you call it, the little booster thing that what do you call those? Grinders. Maybe he wants to run grinders. And then maybe Doug, he wants to run a booster seal.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. They still have to follow tournament rules and ROT rules, but the format can be what they want it to be. I mean, I like that idea. Rather than being just, this is what we're going to do all year long. I mean, maybe somebody wants to do a golden age, maybe somebody wants to do honor, maybe somebody wants to do that. It doesn't really matter. I like the diversity. That's me.
Okay. So it's not some sort of like, okay, everybody has to run like no tactics or whatever. That's just more the venue's choice.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I think I like it that way. I like the fact that, like I said, to me, every tournament's got its own little deal, and I like it. I think that we become boring sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
not every game has to be 300 points. Not every game has to be just have a gauntlet on it. Let's mix it up, you know. And good players are supposed to adapt.
yeah, and sort of like on that point, I was talking with George before he went up to Clixathon, and we were talking about teams, and so it was interesting because all of a sudden, you know, things that you considered before you know you're not considering because they need, you know, a resource dial or a special object or something like that, and then there's things that's like, okay, well maybe I could play this, and oh man, now I have to be concerned about that. So I mean, having a format change can be fun, and I will say this: it does make create a situation in which us as players do have to develop some new tech, and we're not all just freaking out like, oh, you know, how do I stop this? It's like, okay, now I have to consider some things, and I also would say with all the issues sort of surrounding the team dials, you know, then you can say, hey, I want as many people as possible, and I want to see diverse things. You know, no mechanics, and you know, no mechanics, no resources, no tactics, no team dials. So you know, people have to build teams again.
Well, that's it. You're exactly right. I mean, I think he's super feasible. And I mean, you mentioned all those things, but one thing that you did mention that is really a change of what you thought was going to be kind of better this year is the rule changes. Rule changes that they have come out is changing everything.
Yeah, and like even seem like one thing I think where it can be quite interesting coming up is you have all these situations like with the new rules changes, and you also have with Realms Open Championship giving people another opportunity to go compete. I think we're starting to see a situation where we can have a competitive mindset, and we can have this new tech sort of unfolding all the time, where people are considering different things and putting out different things a little bit more frequently, instead of us just being dependent on, hey, what's going on in Origin? Hey, what's going on? I forgot there's like one other tournament before Origin, and it's like here's Gen Con, and then here's Dragon Con, and then that's the end of most people thinking about tech for the year. We actually have like a year-round situation in which we can do something, to think about for Dragon Con, or even for Gen Con, and that's one thing I do really like about the rock tournaments. So is there anything else that you want to like give us a insight to behind the scenes on how they make how y'all making the sausage, so to speak, in doing this tournament?
Well, I think that we've covered everything. Like I said, I think that we're going to be more happy next year. There's always going to be somebody that is unhappy no matter what we do. Mm-hmm. I think people will be more happy where there's more regionals at probably, I want to say, better locations, or key locations, maybe right words, that people can figure out why you have the date. For example, Midwest and Columbus, why not Chicago? Well, there was reasons behind. I'm not necessarily saying that we're getting rid of Columbus, but I think that they're definitely going into Chicago next year. But and we discussed the rules, we discussed the application. The application is pretty simple. It's going to be coming out as early as today. I'm going to say it's in queue right now. The reason it hasn't showed up is they can't give me the announcement at once. Otherwise, the announcement gets moved to the bottom of the page and nobody reads it. So they have to come out systematically. But it's ready to come out. So it's coming out any minute, any hour, any week. And that should be coming out weekly. But then what we do behind the scenes, that you guys, we're talking all the time, and we're going to sit down in Gen Con. There's most of us are going to be at Gen Con, and we're going to nail down everything. We're going to nail down people that I would advise this, if you're interested in being a host, you need to get your application in before Gen Con, because we probably won't take anybody after Gen Con. I mean, not saying that we absolutely won't, but we're really wanting to nail everything down at Gen Con. The regionals, the ranking system, the rule, prizes for next year, we're all gearing towards doing that at Gen Con. Not that long from now. And we're going to try to have that application and that announcement coming out once a week, all the way till then.
Okay. So for those people out there that want, a Realms Open Championship near you, you're listening to this, you got the jump on this, because, man, I'm going to go out there and put this show out there way earlier than some people might expect. So after I paint a porch.
At this point, juncture, as of this very minute, if you were to go on air right now, they're hearing about the announcement when the announcement being made.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a heads up.
Yeah. So you all have probably a day's jump on everybody else. Okay. So keep that in mind. With that being said, I really like to thank Mr. Howard Brock for coming on. He's a good cat. He's a person that I shoot tech with now and then, and we we talk about some interesting stuff. So check out the next rock tournament. It's the Northeast Regional, the New England Regional, Double Midnight Comics. Huh?
1 week.
1 week, really?
1 week from today.
1 week. Well, 1 week from when we're recording. There you go. The New England Regional will be held at the Double Midnight and Comics and Collectibles, 245 Maple St. Manchester, New Hampshire 03103. Call them at 603-669-9636. Definitely sign up in advance is what the post is saying, because they expect people to show up like it's raining cats and dogs outside. So, Mr. Howard Brock, you got any last minute shout outs to anybody?
No, I'd just like to thank everybody that my other guys that are rock. I think one thing that you need to understand about this is myself and all the people that run the rock events and that are going to put this together. It's all a voluntary effort. We don't get paid. We don't get proceeds from anything. We just do this because we enjoy doing it. We want to see the game and realms and players have a good time and move forward.
Okay. And then everybody definitely knows I'm definitely not getting a kickback from all this.
You deserve some kind of kickback.
Yeah, I get exclusive information. That's my kickback. All right. That's it. Anyway, you can hit me up at StartOverPod is the Twitter, so you know when new shows are up or interesting information like this. You can also check out the blog. That's startingoverpodcast.blogspot.com. And, of course, email me, startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. Definitely for those last-minute No Man's Land events, let me know. Also, if you've jumped the gun and you're playing Fear Itself, let me know. I want to know how it's going, and also if you have spoilers. All right. Thank you for listening. Really thank Howard Brock for being on. And remember, we all have to start over sometime. All right.
I'm into comic books, figures on the wall. She's into looking good. Vicky C's got along, and she loves my flaws. Yeah, she's not ashamed. I'm a Peter Parker. She's my Mary Jane. 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 I'm her Peter Parker. She's my Mary Jane. I'm a big nerd around her, but she's cool around me. Never knew how she found me. Electric, but she grounds me. And she loves my flaws. She accepts them all. When the darkness comes, I will get the call. I will swing down the city.